So it is therefore very, I don't understand how the central bank that started forcing the banks in 2016 to collect stamp duty because we feel that it is a source of revenue generation for the country, how that same central bank can begin to withhold 89 trillion. So that it beats our imagination. Disbursed to FAC 226 billion 451 million 720,158 naira 88 kobo, and the balance in the account in CBN is 144 billion 234 million 595,346 naira 40 kobo. Went further, we said, look, banks, this is, we did a tabulation. The highest collection, and I will mention the name of the bank, the oldest bank in Nigeria, First Bank, collected 71.6 billion naira in 7 years.
I want to ask the Deputy CBN Governor that money hidden in different accounts in the CBN, that is enough to solve the nation debt, national and international. Why they refuse to open stamp duty central account to move that money to settle the nation debt, to fund our budget without borrowing? This is what I want to ask her. That money in different account hidden in the CBN. If you can see point blank, they released 29 accounts with the names, with the money of 70 trillion. Is anybody came and challenge them that that account number is lie? So it means the 70 trillion is there hidden in different accounts, in different commercial banks, including the CBN, but under watch and control of the CBN.
Over time, we saw a reduction in the revenue coming from analog stamp duty, the paper stamp duty coming into government. So NIPOST in 2012 engaged some consultants. In 2012, I wasn't the governor, it was Lamido Sanusi. They came to the CBN and told them that they had a mandate to do electronic collection of stamp duties. At that time, there was no law backing it. So CBN said there was no law. For that reason, they would not force the banks. In 2014, towards the end of 2014, when I became governor, they came back and we also gave them the same explanation that we couldn't collect stamp duties because there was no law to back the collection. In 2015, they went to court. Around end of 2015, they got a court judgment. In spite of the fact that there was no law backing it, they got a court judgment forcing central bank to force the banks to begin to collect stamp duty. Afraid that I could be accused of contempt, we took the risk as CBN to write to the banks a circular saying, start collecting stamp duty. Some customers, some large customers who are into FMCG products protested and went to court. As I speak, some of those cases are still in court today. But in spite of that, we have continued to force and compel the banks that they must collect this stamp duty or electronic money transfer fees.
I'm not disgracing the CBN. I am telling the truth about what is hidden in the CBN. And it's shameful to Nigerian government that we should borrow money to pay salary of the federal government workers. Even salary, not even infrastructure. 70% of the salary will be implemented by borrowing. And these people, they hold Nigerian money in their hand. This is what is paining me. Why Nigerian people cannot supposed to suffer. I said 89.1 trillion. People are surprising. How will he say to the Nigerian people that almost 22 trillion borrowed to the federal government by Central Bank of Nigeria? And Central Bank in 2020, they said they borrowed 23.4 trillion to banks. So when you add 22 trillion with 24 trillion, it will give you almost 46 trillion. So somebody who can borrow 46 trillion to government and the banks, how much he have that he can borrow you 46 trillion. And when you look at the total equity of the CBN, as at, I think they are 0.3 trillion. But surprisingly, how those people get opportunity to borrow 46 trillion to federal government and the banks? So that money that I am suspecting is the government money. They share it, they give it as a loan to some banks, state. So that money is for federal government. And I am assure you, Nazuru, if investigation go deep, some of the Nigerian banks will come back to be owned by government, because it's a government money that some people buy shares.
That was used.
That was used to buy the shares in some banks. So it's a Nigerian money. And this thing we are doing it for the benefit of our country.
Honorable Muhammad Gujaji.
Banking supervision, banking payment system, please go into the system and rate out the total amount that has been collected on stamp duty from 2015 to date, 2016 to date. We told our people in banking supervision, contact the banks. Now, let the banks give us from their record how much they have collected on stamp duty from 2016 to date. And you know what? Tell the banks on their headed paper, they should sign that this is the amount they have collected on stamp duty from the 2016 to date. The report that we have in CBN is this: that stamp duty collected to date is 378 billion 686 million 315,505 naira 28 kobo. I'm reading it to the last kobo. I repeat, total stamp duty collected from 2016 to date in our record, and which the banks have signed on their headed paper how much they've collected, because this is public accounts, we owe Nigerians accountability, is 370 billion 686 million 315,505 naira 28 kobo. Out of that, FIRS has disbursed through FAC, or Ministry of Finance has disbursed to FAC disbursed to FAC 226 billion 451 million 720,158 naira 88 kobo. And the balance in the account in CBN is 144 billion 234 million 595,346 naira 40 kobo. Went further, we said, look, banks, this is, we did a tabulation. The highest collection, and I will mention the name of the bank, the oldest bank in Nigeria, First Bank, collected 71.6 billion naira in 7 years.
When you go back, when the cashless transaction started in 6 states, including plus FCT, 6 states plus FCT, Central Bank said they target 2.5 trillion per year in 6 states. The time they started cashless transaction, in only 6 states plus Abuja, they target 2.5 trillion a year. So when they expand the cashless policy to 36 states, that is how the money accumulated to that amount. That 15 naira you see, go and count the millions of transactions times 15 naira per day. You will see the money is bigger than what I am expecting.
So maybe if I think it's only myself that is paying the 15 naira, there are many others that are paying the same money.
The money is, when you go back to the 60-40 ratio, there is another 100 naira because they abandoned stamp duty and created 100 naira charges, double the stamp duty. So that 60 bank, they return 60, they send CBN 40 to CBN. So that 40 is not shown in the CBN balance sheet or in any government account. So that 40 times millions of transactions times those years is the money go to the private investors account in the CBN, then from there to I&E window market, borrow to some people, borrowed dollars to different states, and this is why we said it's the Nigerian money. Government borrowed its own money, and this is seriously is a disgrace to our nation that in 2023 budget, even the salary of the federal government workers, 70% of the salary will be implemented by borrowing. How Nasuru did this country with the 200 plus millions people doing almost 100 million transactions a day, deducting this money every day? You said government cannot afford to pay salary until they borrow. They go and borrow government money to give government. That is why our investigation shows that there is no faith or any sanity or justice or fairness in this borrowing money. How can you borrow, somebody will borrow you your money?
So it is therefore very, I don't understand how the central bank that started forcing the banks in 2016 to collect stamp duty because we feel that it is a source of revenue generation for the country, how that same central bank can begin to withhold 89 trillion. So that it beats our imagination that those kind of arguments can come. Ladies and gentlemen, 89 trillion is so large. The total asset, if you understand accounting, the total asset of the banking industry today is about 71 or 71.5 trillion. The total deposit of the banking system today is 44.498 trillion. So how then is it possible that stamp duty, which is 89 trillion, that is twice the deposit of banks, how possible is that? And I truly don't understand. I just don't understand. So when it became some stories everywhere, we went into our records. We told banking supervision, banking payment system, please go into the system and rake out the total amount that has been collected on stamp duty?
No, I advise the lawyer on media that he should not trigger us to release another document that he never expect we have it. Whatever we are doing with the forensic auditors. And these forensic auditors, they are agent to the central bank and they are agent to the federal government of Nigeria. At last, they even have agreement, master service agreement with the NIPOST. So they have experience, they have even copyright on 50 naira stamp duty, on cashless and manual tellers. So the lawyer sent me a letter that I should withdraw my statement. I am not talking on myself. I am talking on what committee find. As a secretary to the Presidential Committee on Reconciliation and Recovery of all stamp duty from 2013 to date, this is my responsibility to come out and tell Nigerians what we find in our investigation. But what is surprising me yet, I am still trying to meet Mr. President to explain him the reason why I talk to you media. Because for almost 2 months we are running our committee activities without informing any media, and nobody's know when we were inaugurated because we saw in out of secrecy, but frustration that people block me as we did with Mr. President, that each and every week I should go and report it to him. That is what made me to become public. And this lawyer that he sent me this paper, he's supposed to invite me or come and meet me to hear the reasons why I mentioned such amount. I am not disgracing the CBN governor. I am not disgracing the CBN. I am telling the truth about what is hidden in the CBN. And it's a shameful to Nigerian government that we should borrow money to pay salary of the federal government workers. Even salary, not even infrastructure.